When people think of World War II-era submachine guns, it's actually pretty varied in selection. We got the M1A1 Thompson and the M3 Grease gun, which were used by the Americans. We got the PPSH-41, used by the Russians. And there's even a few offshoots, like the British Sten, the Japanese Type 100, and the Czechoslovakian ZK-383. Even the Germans had their own entry from the interwar period, the Schmeisser MP28. But it was rarely seen in World War II, primarily because of the weapon we are about to take a look at. The weapon that people think of when they hear the words World War II submachine gun. And that is the Erma-Werke MP40. And oh boy, here we go down the rabbit hole. That's right. Starting off is the World at War MP40. If you've never heard of it, then you've probably never even played Call of Duty multiplayer, or just simply not been aware of its existence. Because it might be one of the most infamous weapons in the entirety of the Call of Duty franchise, along with COD 4's M16, Modern Warfare 2's Noob Tubes, and yes, even the Black Ops 3 Brecci. So what makes this gun so infamous? Well, it boils down to a handful of reasons, but the main offender is the damage numbers. We will focus on the console damage numbers at first, as they are the culprit of this weapon's infamy. Let's put these numbers on screen. For close range, the MP40 will deal 59 damage. 59! That is a full auto SMG that can kill in 2 hits, which is on par with most semi-auto rifles. Thankfully, it drops off rather steeply at long range to a mere 29 damage, and that is still higher than the PPSH's close range damage. But hang on, we haven't gone overboard with this nonsense yet. A headshot is worth 1.4 times damage, taking damage numbers accordingly up to 82.6 for a bog standard headshot close up. However, this is where things get highly questionable. You see, there's this little one perk in the red category called stopping power. A flat 1.4 times increase to all bullets fired. Let's see what happens to the damage numbers. That's right, an SMG with a max potential damage of 115. What were they thinking? Thankfully, if you weren't a console player, the weapon was balanced somewhat well on PC with a damage number of 40, meaning it only kills with 2 hits if you're running stopping power. Funnily enough, the damage numbers with stopping power here is 56 for a close range shot, which is lower than running the gun without stopping power on console. This essentially removed the one-hit potential of the MP40 since a stopping power headshot deals only 78 damage compared to consoles. Fire rate for the MP40 is a default but chuggy 535 rounds per minute, and can be increased to 714 RPM using double tap. But this is highly recommended against, because recoil is considerably high, with the gun kicking upwards with a strong pull to the right during sustained fire. The iron sight is simple and great to look at, so there's no need for the aperture sight. Now, dual magazines is the better attachment out of the 3 available, as you get 64 rounds of ammo before a reload is required. Now, the way you use the MP40 is something we call the console special. For your blue perk, you can run any of these 5. The Bouncing Betty, M9A1 Bazooka, Satchel Charges, Frag x2, or the M2 Flamethrower. Anything for a cheap kill that can make most people infuriated. With so many other MP40s in the battlefield, Bandolier isn't necessary anymore. The red perk depends on your platform of choice, as Juggernaut is what console players have been running since 2008. When your weapon is a guaranteed 2-hit kill at most ranges, you can always ruin other people's days by soaking up all the low damage bullets being flung at you. For PC players, you are more advised to run stopping power to take the weapon back up to its console 2-hit kill. Finally, your green perk is steady aim, rendering all aiming null and void, as this makes the hipfire cone ridiculously tight, allowing you to get absurd kills from stupid ranges. Expect to get a couple of death threats while you play. Now this is a unique scenario. During the development of the original Black Ops, Treyarch began to understand just how overpowered the MP40 had been in World at War, So what was their solution? Go back and reduce the damage numbers like they had on PC? No. They were going to bring back the same MP40 as a killstreak reward via care packages. Same damage numbers and everything. This was later cut from the final release, but announcer sound clips can still be found in the game's files.
Enemy MP40 spotted. Take cover. MP40 ready for action. MP40 ready for deployment. Friendly MP40 deployed. Enemy MP40 spotted in your area. MP40 ready for action. Enemy MP40 spotted. Take cover. Friendly MP40 in your AO. MP40 ready for deployment. Enemy MP40 spotted in your area.
Late on in Advanced Warfare's lifecycle, Sledgehammer started putting out some classic weapons in supply drops, as a bit of a teaser for the next game. Among those was a drop of 4 weapons from World War II, the M1 Garand, the Sten, M1911, and the aforementioned MP40. The MP40 in this game is a foresight of things to come from Sledgehammer. It reuses the KF5's firing sounds, which isn't inherently bad as it's one of the more consistent sounding and beefy SMGs. Damage numbers are 34 up close and 25 at long range, making it a consistent 3 to 4 shot kill. But the free hit kill range is fairly limited, so expect to get kills in 4 shots. Fire rate has been lifted from 535 up to 800 RPM, and rapid fire takes this to a solid 1000 RPM, a net total of 87% increase in fire rate from World of War. But rapid fire is actually one of the better attachments to use thanks to the consistent damage. The iron sights are clean, and recoil is actually pretty low. But this MP40 has a low center speed, meaning that recoil will start climbing if you keep a finger on the trigger. Your best 3 attachments to use are the suppressor, rapid fire as previously mentioned, and one of the 2 magazine choices. But being a PIC 13 system in Advanced Warfare, the rest is up to you. Now there may not be an original MP40 in Black Ops 3 outside of zombies, but Treyarch has given us a futuristic interpretation, the HG40. It's basically an MP40 designed for the multiplayer aesthetic. It's sleek, angular, and sports a very Heckler and Koch style slap when you spawn in, pick one up, or you reload. Which, for the record, a real MP40 would not be able to do, but we're giving it a pass since it's not an authentic Schmeisser. Damage is 35 up close and drops to 23 at long range, which is pretty close to the Advanced Warfare numbers, but the fire rate has gone back from 800 to 517, returning to World of War speeds. The recoil is once again pretty low, and will start kicking up after the first few rounds. One of the more unique features of the HG40 is that the iron sights change when applying the long barrel attachment. They change from a more traditional MP40 style and turn into something more akin to the HVK30 style of iron sights. Speaking of attachments, there's more to choose from. Given how limited the weapon's performance is, there's only really 3 attachments that we can recommend. Quick Draw gives an amazing boost to aim down sight time, Dual Mag speeds up reload times considerably, and Rapid Fire may only give that insane 6% fire rate boost, but anything to improve time to kill is worth it. Another World War II game, another MP40. And at this point, we all know the tradition of Call of Duty World War II. Sledgehammer screwing up historical accuracy for the costs of balance. For starters, you have to prestige your airborne division to even unlock the MP40 in multiplayer. The fire rate is wrong again, going from 517 RPM in Black Ops 3 up to 689 RPM. And rapid fire will also take you a bit higher, and by that I mean up to 740 RPM. Hooray! Damage is standard for most weapons in the SMG class, dealing 35 at close range and dropping off to 19 in long range. I mean, what's left to be said about this version? No, seriously, I'm struggling. This weapon is just as bland and basic as most of the other weapons in the game. Well, maybe the attachments have some variety. Well, at least some of the variants look nice. The All Out is just a standard model with stock folded in. And then there's the Do-Re-Mi 2. This variant turns it into the MP41, a later revision with a fixed wooden stock rather than a folding one. But other than that, yeah, I guess it's a decent weapon. Black Ops 4 has no traditional MP40 or even HG40 in Standard 66, but it does have an MP40 in Blackout, the short-lived battle royale by Treyarch. First off, the MP40 here sports a brand new model from what we could guess at first glance. It fires 9mm as the real MP40 does, and fire rate is slightly higher than the World of War MP40 and even the Black Ops 3 HG40. To get these damage numbers, we went into a private match and had our friend David fire one shot at the chest and head, respectively, at 3 distinct ranges. Damage is at average short, medium and long ranges, without any armor applied. First off, short range. We calculated that a chest shot was 45 damage, whereas a headshot dealt 49. This means that the headshot multipliers are 1.1x across the board. Not too bad, and it's kinda standard for BO4, but the high damage on its own makes up for it. For medium ranges, it was 30 damage on a chest shot, going up to 33 on a headshot. At longer ranges, expect to deal 25 damage or less depending on range, with a headshot going up to 27 on a successful hit. Unfortunately, since the MP40 is restricted to Blackout for PvP, this means you're gonna have to loot around for it to even get a chance to engage targets. All in all, it's rather forgettable.
Spectre replying. Contract complete.
Well, here we are, with Vanguard's MP40. Seeing as the game is out of the life cycle, and with the reputation it's garnered, I reckon we could at least take a look at its stats and attachments for good measure. Damage starts at 32, with this damage lasting up to 15 meters. Fire rate is a box standard 600, making it faster than the World of War and Black Ops 3 MP40, but slower than the World War II and Advanced Warfare MP40. It also sports a bullet velocity of 353 meters per second, which makes this SMG actually pretty competitive at reaching targets. Damage to vital extremities like the head ramps up the damage to 49. Movement speed is fast at 11.1 miles per hour, with sprint to fire being a decent 167 milliseconds, and aim down sight time being faster than the Thompson, Type 100 and the PPSH, while being on par with the Owen gun at 200 milliseconds. The recoil is higher than the Thompson but lower than the Sten. Hipfire accuracy is also good for an SMG, being tied with the Owen gun. Reload is 2.5 seconds, with no options for a dedicated sleight of hand perk. But the 32 round fast mag of 9mm Parabellum drops it down to 1.8 seconds. This used to be a 24 round short mag, believe it or not. However, the gunsmith does have some interesting choices for attachments. Once again, like in World War II, we can create an MP41, but this time we need the 34M stock. Moving over to barrels, the 285mm Shrouded slaps on a front end akin to the MP18's, with the 317mm being more like the MP41. The VDD 189mm short barrel is probably the attachment that completely boggled us at first glance back in the day. Why would you want stopping power and increased limb damage at the expense of a headshot multiplier being rendered non-existent? I mean, to be fair, if you're not going for camo challenges, it could make sense. And I guess since it has a longer damage range, it works for some scenarios perhaps? The magazine choices are the most bizarre, however, with 32 shots of 7.62 Tokarev apparently fitting in a magazine slot designed for 9mm Parabellum. But again, remember, this is Sledgehammer making this. We can also put in the same stick mag, fucking 792x33 Kurtz, which, if I may inform the uneducated, is not only the intermediate cartridge designed for the STG, but also a whole 14mm longer than the 9mm Parabellum. And then just to round it off, we have a 64 round snail mag of 9mm Parabellum. Jesus. And that just about does it for the complete and comprehensive multiplayer history of the MP40 in all mainline Call of Duty games, minus the original trilogy. This has been AKIS, and we will see you in the next video.